from here.
Hey!
Hey! Hello, social media land. Jess Clare, Brooke Anderson,
Nathan Ahern.
We'll just wait.
Minus Liz Eisenring tonight. Minus Liz Eisenring.
Yeah.
She's off from professoring, I think. Is she professoring?
She's taken over the world.
She's doing a lot of stuff. So here we are. We've got our podcast episode 4. We're about to launch into it. Those who are watching, please hashtag Authentic Professionals, hashtag AuthPro. I love a good acronym. I love a good abbreviation. What else do we want to hashtag? If you want to engage with us, we will answer your questions. We're about to actually hit record, and so we're going to record the next podcast, but we will engage with you guys. We do love that part of it, so please let us know you're here. Leave us a hashtag if you are watching the replay, hashtag replay. And yeah, we'd love your thoughts on this because I think this is a very timely topic, and I think you're going to love this discussion.
Boom. Hello, team.
Hello.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Or good day to you, depending on what day and time it is that you're listening to this podcast with the Authentic Professionals team. Welcome to 4th podcast, maybe? 4th?
Episode 4. We are.
Today we are taking on an absolute juggernaut of a topic. A juggernaut. That's a huge one, isn't it?
Let's make it really significant.
Oh,
this
super
is
significant.
Very significant topic.
It's fact versus opinion. Bom, 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 bom.
We could make this really simple. What I say is fact. What everything you say is opinion. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for joining us. That's it.
But it's interesting you say that because a lot of people, that's how we live our life sometimes.
A lot of people? I would say the whole 8 billion of us.
You think so?
I think so. Even you, Nathan.
Maybe I have an opinion that I don't do that.
Yeah, probably. Everyone else does it.
Yeah.
Just not me.
No.
That's right, no.
I don't have opinions.
No, you don't have opinions? Facts. You just got facts. Okay. Well, tell me. So, Nathan, you started this conversation off, and I thought it was brilliant. Why don't you start with what you were saying before? Because it was actually gold.
Oh, yeah, okay. I brought it up after the last one, didn't I? Last podcast. No, second last one. Anyway.
Yeah.
What was there for me is that when I started to... Well, the amount of freedom and power that comes from... and playing with, well, what's an opinion? When I started to do it, and I had conversations with my children about this, when they start to do it, there's just so much freedom there that they can actually let go, that they're not, someone else that has a different way of view of the world. It's not an argument. It's not two facts, coming together. It's just two things that people have made up that are coming together, and they're not really real. Like they're just something we made up. It's a bit confronting when you first start the process. I was super confronted.
Well, if I was listening to this, right, and you hear this, it's not two opinions coming together, it's just all made up.
Yeah.
Why don't you expand on that so people know what you mean by... So basically what Nathan's telling you is mostly, actually 100%, if not, 99% of everything you think is made up.
Yeah.
That's right. You want to expand on that?
Do I want to expand on that? Okay. Well,
He's in the hot seat tonight.
Yes, he is.
This is great. Well, I guess the opinion that I've got, I'm in the hot seat. Like the seat's not hot. It's
it's not, is it?
No, I'm getting a little bit of a sweat up.
It is.
The sweaty seat, maybe.
The sweaty seat.
But it once you start to play with it, like this particular hot dogs are better than sausage rolls. Particular band's better than so and so. The Labor Party's better than the Liberal Party, or the Liberal Party's better than the all this stuff.
Jess is better than Nathan. No, that's fact.
Are you? I'm so glad. We should write the facts down.
That's right.
Write them down on the board.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it.
But then it starts to actually become, it's not a competition, it's a game. It actually changes the way of the conversation. It changes the game from a competition of two views of the world to a game of, well, why? Why is that your opinion? It becomes really interesting. You can actually get to connect with other people.
Yeah.
You get to get into their world about, well, why is, let's just pick something really contentious, the Liberal or Labor Party. Why is it your view? and they might discover something from themselves, and then all of a sudden it's this really interesting journey on, you know, about all sorts of things, all sorts of views, all sorts of personal experiences, and there's not this, I don't know, pressure to be right.
You hit something huge there about the game part rather than a competition.
Mm-hmm.
When we talk about freedom,
Mm-hmm.
well, when you start to realise that it's a game and you have that freedom, then rather than having an opinion in the stands, you get on the court with the facts.
Yeah.
Would you say?
Yeah.
Which just creates the freedom, because it's like,
I think I don't think everyone has a really great view of the word game.
Mm.
I would say that for some people
I'm a
watching,
player.
yeah, I think for some people watching, it's like, oh, it's a game. People actually think of manipulation,
Maybe, yeah.
and I know that it's something that I did. Like when someone gave or kind of created this term for me, or gave me this term about life is a game, and then someone being around some coaches, they talk about playing games. Well, we're not talking about manipulating people to get what you want, or playing this whole relationship game where, well, she didn't do it, so I'm not going to do it. And like, that's when people think of games, they think of like a Mexican standoff, a kind of tit for tat, a kind of like, I don't know, I think that that's probably out there when people hear games. I think what you're talking about in terms of a game is you like, I'm Nathan and Brooke. We've created this game called Getting 0 to 3 million in a year.
Mm-hmm.
This is a game we're playing. If you guys want to play it, come along. If you don't, that's fine. And you can kind of relate to everything in life that way. I'm playing this game called I Vote for the Liberal Party.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. Why do you play that game? I don't. Where you can see it from a perspective of curiosity rather than a fight.
Yeah, it's like an epic game of Twister while you're going on an adventure. Like those kids movies where you watched them and you're sitting in there and just in awe of what those kids were up to. What was that epic kids movie? There's heaps of them, but where the kids are off finding pirates and all that sort of stuff. It's just like that. It's so much more fun.
Peter Pan.
Maybe Peter Pan. That's a good example. Yeah, it's a great example. It's a game.
It's an adventure.
Yeah.
Well, but if we come back to the distinguishing the difference between fact and opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's great to see things like, oh, people's opinions, it's like a game, it's fun, it's like an adventure. That's not actually how people live.
No.
They live like it's a fight.
Like it really is real.
Yeah, it's like this is a real fight. His opinion, the Liberals wrong, Labor's right, Labor's wrong, Liberals right, everyone's wrong who disagrees with me. People live like that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Including me at times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was there last week.
But that's the game of
I was there with Nathan a week ago.
I was the biggest loser on the planet last week. In my world.
Oh, really? Opinion or a fact?
Yeah, was that an opinion or a fact?
It was an opinion.
Yeah.
Because then if it's a game, then going back to the game part, it's a game that no one wins or loses. That's when it becomes a game.
Would you say though you lived like it was a fact?
Yeah,
in those moments. Yeah.
I definitely lived like it was a fact. It was very real.
Oh, yeah.
It was very real.
That's the beauty of the imagination. We just sometimes not sure exactly when we're imagining it and when it actually is real.
Mm.
Well, let's have a look. If we actually have a look, because I've talked to my daughter about this too, right? I talked to my daughter about the difference between fact and opinion. I talked to a lot of people about this, so I'm gonna throw out my view. This is my view according to the world of what's fact and opinion, and I think we agree on this too, Nathan, which is quite surprising.
Wow.
Okay.
I think we agree. Well, we'll find out. I'm about to tell you. Anything that I can touch is real. That's a fact.
Yep.
But I have a name for it that maybe others don't.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact is, this is Brooke, and this is Brooke's body. That's Nathan, that's Nathan's body. This is a microphone. Anything I think about this microphone is an opinion. So anything I think about Brooke is an opinion. The only real fact is that Brooke lives in this skin bag, and he looks like that. That's right.
What a dude.
What a dude.
What a specimen.
And he has, he makes
That's an opinion.
words. He makes words come out of his mouth. He says stuff. That's really all the facts are. Everything I think about what he says, everything I think about what he does is all my opinion. Everything else, there's no fact to it. It's all opinion. What I just described is the only real fact about Brooke.
Yeah, and I think we talked about this a little bit. Some people might not agree with that. I just like it. I think it makes things. I like to agree that Brooke actually is there.
I think he is.
Yeah, pretty sure.
Now,
we agree that he is there.
yeah, another fact might be, and this is something that delves into it a bit, is the fact of someone's experience. So Brooke had a real experience called "I felt like a loser." That was a fact. He had that experience, but only he knows that because he experienced it. So if Brooke said to me, "I'm a loser," and I'm like, "No, you're not. That's not true," blah, 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 and I kind of resist that experience he has, that's just my opinion on his experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's how I distinguish
What's the point? Okay, where I go now is, okay, it's great. We're free.
Yeah.
We're playing a game. It's not lots of things that we thought were real. Maybe they aren't, and it's a great game to distinguish those things. But then, once you get to that point, what's the next step? Like what was there for me, that extrapolation, that next level was, why would I stop? Like there's this, if you can think about, for instance, Labor versus Liberal. If I was a Labor supporter, I'd really want to get the Labor Party in. Like why? What do you do then? I mean, what came up for me around that was that I don't think I've ever had the experience where I've walked up to someone, made them wrong, and they've gone, "Oh my goodness, Nathan, you are just so right, and I cannot believe I've lived my life like this, my entire life, and I'm just going to change it and do exactly what you tell me to do." Like it's just never happened, and yet we walk around doing that a lot, and that was the thing that actually tied the loop together of why would I start to play this game inside of me having results in my life, which is actually making a difference out there and being able to communicate with people and be up to stuff in my life.
Yeah. So it gave you freedom. So you got freedom from thinking, do you know what? No one's ever going to come to me and say, "Gee, Nathan, you really know everything about life. I should just do what you say and then life would be better."
Yeah, well, no, it's the experience of being made wrong. Like I don't know anyone who loves being made wrong.
Yeah.
and then changes behaviour based on being made wrong.
Yeah, and when you say made wrong, what you mean is when people argue with you and you can sort of tell that what they're saying is you're wrong, I'm right.
Yeah, like that. Your opinion's wrong, my opinion's right.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And so it becomes this polarity where we're butting heads for no benefit at all.
Yeah. Okay. So, because this is about actually distinguishing the difference between a fact and an opinion, and one of the things I've put in there as well is, and I know this is a real experience of people, this is an opinion, but I reckon it's true, this real experience that people are confused. And someone's just put something there, healthy living or the perception of what is healthy is really difficult to own because of the facts, and education said one thing. I'll just get the whole thing here. Where a person becomes a debate personal so easily. I mean, we even, at I'm pointing at Bindi. She runs Ethical Change Agency. Bindi.
Jump on
yeah.
it. My head's
So
in the way.
I went to this event with Bindi, and there were a few health professionals in the room, and they all had different opinions, and then they started debating each other.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And I do isogenics. And not every health professional likes isogenics, but I actually feel the best on it. And then I was a vegan once, but not everyone agrees with being a vegan. It's true. There's so many opinions out there.
Yep.
How do you make your way through the noise? And how do you distinguish it? Now, you've obviously discovered something about this, which is why you have power, but how did you get to that?
How do I get to...
Distinguishing the difference between a fact and an opinion. How do people do that?
I just played the game. I'd never
Yeah.
practiced it. You grow up, you experience life, your parents have some opinions about stuff, and you're like, well, I better take those on because, and then, you're told some facts in school and, a whole bunch of stuff. And then I just never practiced it. And so I just started to practice this, what's an opinion and what's a fact, and I don't know, I stopped having to remember a lot of things. Like it created so much space. It's almost like people who have with full calendars, it's like going into your calendar and just wiping out the whole next year. And all of a sudden you're like, oh my goodness, how much spare time have I got? I noticed how much spare time I had because I didn't need to be, it's not that I didn't listen to someone's opinion, but I listened to their opinion because I wasn't waiting to actually express mine.
So you started off by asking the question, what is an opinion and what is fact?
Yeah.
And that's where things started to get a lot freer for you.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
rather than you being in the conversation trying to prove your point,
Mhm.
you started then going, is what this person's saying to me a fact or an opinion?
Yeah.
So you started an inquiry, you
Yeah.
could put it, okay.
Yeah, actually,
Yeah.
I can tell you one of the first questions I ever asked, I used to get annoyed in traffic. And I remember starting to practice this, and I was annoyed at the way someone drove. And I got angry with it. And then I was like, what if that was an opinion or a fact? Like, well, I can't see it, it's not there. My goodness, it's an opinion, and I've held on to this thing like it's real for so long.
What was the opinion?
That people can make me angry in traffic. Like they drive in a particular way, and I'm angry because of the way they drove, or they're going slow, or they, whatever it is. I was probably late,
Yeah.
which is a fact.
Is it? Or is it an opinion?
The clock said I was late.
I don't know, lots of people go, everything happens in perfect timing.
Well,
Nathan.
maybe, but my opinion is that that's that.
Your opinion was
Well, it
like...
comes back to agreements, isn't it?
Yeah, and Vindy put up there, values and beliefs.
Yep.
Mm.
This is a really interesting one. I actually shared this one with a mate the other day.
Mm.
People might relate to this one, but the dad that used to always, and this could just be an experience that I've had, but the dad that used to always bang on that when you buy a car, it has to be a manual. Like,
What?
it has to be a manual. And I actually find it really hilarious because of the technology now with automatic cars and everything. But
Yeah.
I'm sure we've all... Did you guys have a dad that was like, oh, make sure it's manual. Make sure it's a manual car. You didn't have one?
Yeah.
The automatics are the sissies.
Yeah, automatics, mate. You can't tow a trailer without a manual. Like
This is actually making me think, like what you're saying about, you getting told a manual car and you getting told, like you saying that you started to inquire why I'm even getting mad, like this is getting mad. It's almost like we hear things so much, it becomes programmed to, when this happens, respond this way.
Oh, yeah.
This is the right opinion to have in this case. So I grew up in a home where my dad said it's got to be a manual car, and then I found myself in a manual car. I don't really know why. It's just that everyone kept saying I should do it.
The crazy thing is that that person's son or daughter is going to end up in a manual car as well. And technology
Your son or
now...
daughter?
I'm fortunate that I can have a laugh about it and
Yeah.
they can choose whatever car they want. But it's just that's how funny it is, right? Like I love that example only because of how far technology's come with like automatics and everything now. That may have been a fact at some point that manuals were
Better.
better for whatever reason. I'm not a car person. At some point,
Because you're in control.
but that fact gets passed down to generation to generation to generation. It creates a belief system
Yeah.
that gets installed, and then that's how we end up with generational facts.
Which is essentially, so
It's opinions.
it's opinions, which is essentially conditioning.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So you were conditioned to, if a person drives like this, respond this way.
At some point in my life, I've seen it, and probably seen it a few times, and gone, well, maybe that's what happens. People annoy people in traffic. But the person who's driving slow in front, they were not doing it to me. They've got their own thing going on while they're doing whatever they're doing. They're not even aware that I exist. I'm just behind them getting all annoyed, thinking that what they're doing is actually some kind of personal affront to me.
And it's not, that's, at some point that was a fact, and then it switched to, oh wow, I just got this opinion.
Yeah.
Called, I should get annoyed at these people for doing this stuff.
And I found 50,000 other ones of those, and that was like wiping out my calendar.
Right. So 50 ways in which you saw the world through this opinion you had, where you thought was fact, and then when you looked, you realised it was all just
It wasn't 50, it was like 50,000.
50,000.
I just went on and on and on. It was an awesome game. I'd be in the car, I'd be playing the game because it's boring sitting in the car in the traffic.
Yeah.
Couldn't get annoyed with anyone anymore, could I? I had to do something.
Yeah. Well, if you start to like layer it back, everything's an opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay.
Yeah.
Everything's an opinion. Okay, that's all.
Yeah. But that's not the best. The best part about it is once you distinguish that, then you get to have discussions with people about why they've got the opinion they've got.
Yes.
And that gets juicy.
And then
That becomes the game.
That's what you mean by the game.
That's human
That's the
connection.
game.
Right.
Yes.
So you start with this game and then you find the next game. And the next game literally comes.
I don't even know when I have opinions. Like I was in the car, we were talking about what we were talking about in the car, and then he went, "Have you finished with your story?" And I'm like, "This is not a story. This is real." I was like, How dare you call this a story? It's very real for me.
So you should qualify stories and opinions.
But it's true.
using
It's like,
interchangeably.
well, because of my values and my beliefs,
Mhm.
I've grown up being however I've grown up. I actually think everything I'm living in is real.
Mhm.
And I talk about it, and it comes out, and I don't even realise it's not like everyone's reality. It's
Mhm.
mine, so it must
Yeah.
be the only reality. And then when I talk to you guys, because you guys are so generous, you listen. The whole time it's like, okay, let me know when you're done with your story. I'm like, this is true. But to me, it was fact. It was
Yeah.
really fact for me. So,
You
I-
even called it. You'd done your data analysis on the situation. That was your words.
which is assessing the facts.
And you know what? No data has ever been manipulated to produce something that it shouldn't have.
Definitely not the
No.
data that I put in my head. I haven't put in reality anywhere. It's all in my head.
Yeah.
And then out came this profound announcement of all of it.
Profound. Profound.
That was all fact.
I
But I did. I guess what I'm saying is, and I think you put this up here anyway, is that people live in the world they live in, and it is their fact.
Yeah.
This is fact to them. And if we actually stop arguing and stop needing to be right and stop having to prove people wrong, we might actually start to understand and connect. Is that what you were saying?
Well, and it comes down. Well, something that's just come through for me is like it comes down to creating a world of choices rather than fact or opinion. You know, like so rather than tell someone, you were told that to have a 9-to-5 job and to buy a house, you shouldn't do that. There's more to life than that these days. Well, that's fact and opinion again.
Yeah.
Where it's like it's creating that space of. Well, hey, these days you have a choice to maybe look outside the box and create more for yourself. Well, like not more for yourself, but you have other options,
Can I tell you a little story? No, this is a fact. This actually happened. So my daughter is almost 6. She's 6 tomorrow, actually. And she said to me the other day, we were talking about something, and she goes, she actually had this conversation. What is are you lying about that, Mum, or is someone else lying about that? And I'm like, how do I tell my daughter about lying? It's such an interesting conversation. And I'm like, she said, do you lie sometimes? I was like, I do. I suppose I do. So let me tell you about that. And we started talking about it. And she said, have you ever been mean to anyone? And I'm like, yeah, I think I have. Not intentionally. Actually, maybe I have intentionally. And I started having this conversation with her. And then she said, okay, so who were you mean to? Have you ever been mean to my ex? Her other mum. And I said, I have. I was mean to her. And I told her about an incident that had happened where I was mean to her. And then I was really sad that it happened. Talking to her in her language. And then she said to me, Mama told me about that too. So that's true.
Wow.
And she said, so if you said it happened and she said it happened, then it's definitely true. And I went, okay, now this is a whole nother conversation I need to have with you. That doesn't make things true because two people agree. That is, in this case, we both seem to agree on it, but what's true for you is something only you can decide. But I found it hard. Like, if I have this 6-year-old that's sort of, grappling with what is true and what's not, and basing it on her two parents agreeing, that's never going to happen. And, what do you say? But then I look at us and go, as adults, we're still doing the same thing. We're trying to work out what's right, what's wrong, what's true, what's not.
That's why the scientific method was invented.
But even...
You can go and find the videos on it on the YouTube, Kogastad or whatever, I don't even know how to say a silly name.
Yeah.
There's this epic channel that just explains like the most complicated things to kids. My kids love it. They're 8 and 10. They just find it epic. What I want to talk about just before I don't want to go down that road because it's
It's a rabbit hole.
That one? Okay.
what's the line between an opinion and a lie?
Well, I've been to a course which told me that all opinions are lies.
Oh, really?
They're lies that you tell yourself.
So if you've got an opinion, it's a lie.
Yeah,
It's
and I was like, that's a bit confronting.
That is a very confronting.
That was a bit confronting. But yeah, like, well, that's a good question. What is? So I would say that a lie, I know I find humans a bit funny. So, you know, a lie is something you sort of hide when you're afraid of something.
Yeah.
So when I know when someone's like, I'm just trying to think, someone says to me, oh, how's business going? How are you going? And, you know, you might have lost money that week or something. You go, yeah, it's really good. You know, like you can say that's a lie because it's not going good, but I don't know how to say it and I don't know how to talk about it. So right now I'm confronted by having to, you know, kind of survive something. So I'm going to like say it's good.
Mm.
So that's a lie.
Yeah.
Now you have no idea what to say.
No, well, I do. I'm just trying to think about it. Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting. Where do you draw the line between a good opinion and a bad one?
Well, I think everyone's hiding stuff,
Oh yeah.
Oh yes.
which means everyone's lying. Oh yeah, I said it.
Well, that's why we're the authentic professionals, aren't we?
Because we tell everyone that we're full of shit.
We don't know what we're doing.
No, we do. We know exactly what we're doing here.
We're very
We're very professional.
Yeah.
We've
Is
got
there
it
an
all
opinion or a
handled.
fact that we're professionals?
Authentic opinionists.
Well, with what I just said, you guys started thinking you actually look like deers in headlights. Then, whatever I just said about lying and hiding,
Yeah, but it's just super confronting.
you just went like this. You
Yeah.
both went.
Because people, for me, I
What
draw
was
the
that?
line between an opinion and a lie as something. Lie would be something to gain something there would be there's an opinion about whether that was used. My son was called used power for good. He says, I don't care what you do, but he wants me to make sure that I always use my power for good.
I think that's a great place to come from because we are freaking powerful.
Mm.
And if we're not using our power to make a difference in a way that impacts positively on people, then we probably are using it negatively, either on ourselves or others. Like using it to call ourselves a loser or using it to bring down or take a family out by making sure my opinion about my Uncle John is now everyone's opinion about Uncle John.
Mm.
Yeah.
I definitely agree that is using power negatively.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mum just called.
Mum.
Just as I talked about Uncle.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm getting deep.
Did we talk about values and beliefs? Did we talk about that? Didn't you put that up on the board?
Sort of. I mean, the whole thing is how do you distinguish between a fact and opinion? So what does values and beliefs, how does that work? How does that come in?
In my view, they're the same. In that, for me, my opinions, values, and beliefs stop here. But they don't go any. They're not someone else's. Like it's just like what I do. Like for instance, when I get frustrated in traffic, I'm frustrated. It's got nothing to do with that.
It creates your opinions.
For me, it's responsibility. This is my stuff, and I want to be interested in what's up in other people's their stuff. I'm interested in that. But that there's no like magical umbilical cord between the two of us where my opinions just become theirs. Facts.
Yeah. I get that.
Yeah.
I get where you're going from around being interested in them, but I suppose when we talk about opinions, values and beliefs are filtered. They create the opinion, would you say?
I'm not going to have an opinion on someone else's values and opinions and beliefs. I don't go on your beliefs.
So now I want to say this, whether you do or you don't, your brain will. Whether you choose to voice it,
that's exactly
your
I'm
brain is going to have
That's
an
the
opinion
responsibility part.
on everything.
Oh yeah, it goes off at a million mile an hour all the time.
And I would say the difference is some people have got that they have are able to like hold it in.
I think just training. It's like riding a bike.
Yeah, it's
You know,
training. We have, this has gone off. So, why haven't you completed that report? Because I threw up on my computer and it blew up. Oh, that's true. Right.
definitely
And what's
true.
the difference between a lie and an omission, says Kel.
And a what?
And an omission.
Mm.
No, this is what I mean. Everyone's
What's
like,
an omission? I don't even know what does that word
mission
mean?
is this is what I think the difference is. A lie is how many people have you dated? A lie is, I know I've dated 5, but I'm going to say 10 to look better. And an omission would be, how many people have you dated? I don't want to answer this question because I'm going to look bad. So I'm just going to say, what's for breakfast?
Like a deflection.
A deflection.
Is the outcome the same?
Either way, this is what I'm talking about. Either way, this is what we do to hide and not be seen. This is what we do. Like, I would say, if we're going to distinguish between facts and opinions, when we think in facts, we're thinking in being seen. We're thinking, this is actually all that's going on and I'll be seen. When we think in opinions, we're hiding something about ourselves. Or hiding something, or not even knowing there's stuff that's going on with us. Yeah, and I know that when I'm like, even in today's car ride, when I gave you my download of my mental analysis over the last 5 weeks, what I'm hiding is I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to get all the clarity that I need right now for everything to work it out. And so there's like this comfort in the analysis and the opinion and the strategy that I can hold on to that gives me comfort. But actually, when it comes down to it, it's like, well, that wasn't a lie or an omission. I wasn't like going, oh, I need to hide, I don't know what I'm doing. It's more like it gave me comfort having this analysis to back myself up. You guys are very quiet.
No, it's a
deep subject.
It's a deep
Is this
subject.
deep?
No,
Okay.
It's deep.
When does it...
I've got to consider my answers. I want to make sure that we're talking about the.
Something that's coming through that I haven't quite processed fully, I'm just going to go for it, is when we go back to the values and beliefs part or opinions part, and we think about the feeling that we feel when we're in a conversation. So for people that listen to this or whatever, and then they go, I'm going to have some more conversations with other human beings about opinions. Well, the part that I feel like where the confronting part comes out is that these things, or these beliefs or facts, let's just call them the same thing, it's like if you start having these conversations, it's really, really difficult to start looking within and opening yourself up to what you believed your whole life might not actually be real.
Yeah.
Like I remember the classic one was Sarah. We've been together 11 years now, and I found out like 3 months after we started hanging out that she was a vegetarian. And I'm from New Zealand, where like it's like meat country, right? Like I'd never ever heard it. I very barely, it didn't even not hit my radar that I knew what a vegetarian was. It was 11 years ago, so please take yourself back 11 years, right? It wasn't what it is now. And I was just like, my reaction to that was like I remember I'd had a couple of drinks now, but I had to sit on the couch and sit it down and go like, so what does that mean? Like, what is that? Like, do you eat like any kind of like, is it just on Sundays? Is it just like, is it whatever? Because it literally was this thing where I'm like, well, what do you mean you don't eat meat? Like, it was such an experience for me that I was just like, I can't fathom that. And it was just really interesting. Like when we think about that belief system, like for me, it was like you always eat meat. Like it was that was a fact.
Yeah.
In my world. You know?
Yeah. So the way things are. So this is what you do. This is like anything that's really out there, like around sexuality, around gender, around any difference. It's like this is the way that you are. And in a way, someone said I'm being a chatterbox, so now I'm like all scared I'm talking too much. But in a way, it's like, well, maybe these opinions and hiding things actually come from this concern about being judged so heavily about things.
That's why we hang out with all of our same people.
Yeah. Like
vegetarians hang out with, like, not so much anymore, but think back then. Vegetarians hang out with vegetarians, meat eaters hang out with meat eaters. Like, it's not a coincidence that we all hang out with people that, I won't call you on my shit if you don't call me on mine, so you kind of create the group,
Yeah.
Which is a challenge now because our world has become so much more connected.
Yeah. So maybe it's about finding people you're safe to be factual with.
your opinions as facts. You mean
Yeah.
confirm
What is
your
a fact?
opinions.
It takes us back to this.
Confirm your opinions as facts. I mean, I think there's a really good point you just brought up, Jess, that someone had an opinion, you're a chatterbox, and you acted like it was real. I mean,
She actually just said, sorry, I meant on the chatterbox. She wasn't talking about me.
well, we're just going to run with you.
Oh my goodness.
It's still a fact.
It is still a fact. I'm gonna.
Brooke and I agree, so that's real.
Yeah, it's real.
Actually, I don't want to tell my brain that too much because what we're talking to here is a thing in the brain called autosuggestion.
Mhm.
Actually, is a fact.
Mhm.
Well, they've studied it. They call it autosuggestion, and that is the messages that you tell yourself that are repeated to you a lot actually become real and manifest in reality.
Yeah.
So if I say that I am that, then I will basically keep being that. Like it's autosuggestion.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I am for my. It hit on exactly why you said I was being quiet, because I like to be responsible with my opinions.
Mm.
Because I get the impact that my opinions could have on someone else, and I don't want to have an impact on someone that isn't empowering. I don't want it to come across, and I want to be responsible for what I say. That they're not impacted by an opinion of mine.
Ooh, now we're getting into context. This is interesting because you know what my opinion is of myself?
Mm.
Everything I say is empowering. So I'm not concerned about what I say. Now, that's not to say that everyone doesn't get offended, but I also have a view of myself that if someone gets offended and impacted, I can 100% be responsible for it. Own it, and I will not leave or I will not be okay until it's complete and I've dealt with it. So it's like that basis, I fully trust myself. So I'm free to talk, free to be, free to act.
Yeah.
So that's, again, that's not the truth. It's not a fact.
No.
It's an opinion that I say enough to myself that it manifests in reality.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Well, maybe. You know, sometimes. I was just thinking, we've had some pretty big arguments.
Yeah, that's been a few times where I'm like, oh, I'm just not sure. Yeah.
I'm happy to be challenged on that.
You know, and that's the great thing about it, though, is that in that moment when you were that way, I just get that it's your opinion and your experience in that moment, and it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
You know, that's one of the great things about this group we've created is that when you're up to stuff, there is a clash, and there's always going to be.
Always.
You know, there's stuff comes up for people, you know, whatever it is, and when now that having had this training and done this work, it doesn't stay for very long. We just get that there was something there, it was just an opinion, it wasn't real, and I don't need to take it personally. And the amount of stuff when I was younger, where someone would say one thing and I would take it like it was real. Like if someone said something that was sort of mean, it really had an impact on me when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm just thinking, right, how do you give people listening to this some sort of, because it is a confusing world. And when I think of the thing that made the most difference, actually trying to determine whether something was fact or opinion, what we're distinguishing here is that they're rolled into one. You don't really know. Someone's world is their fact, regardless of whether it's my opinion or not. It is their fact. It is their world. But trying to distinguish through it and trying to actually make sense of it all and knowing what to do, my 6-year-old is trying to discover that right now. I know I am. I know people are. So what do we say? How do you got freedom by creating a context for yourself or creating like an opinion for yourself that I'm going to get curious and play this game called getting interested in their opinions.
Yeah.
And that empowers me. And so I do that now.
Yeah.
So what would you say to people wanting to know something about this? Like, what would you say how to do that?
You mean the game?
Well,
after distinguishing and playing that game first of all?
Well, that's what you did.
Yeah.
So how could you, kind of make that easy to access for others? What did you do to do that?
Do you mean what work did I do?
Just anything. Like, how did you get to that? How do you just stop one day being annoyed in traffic? How do you just go, that's okay. They can have that opinion.
I look for why I would go to the trouble of doing it. I mean, for me, one of the things that I'd run into, and I think that I'd love to meet someone who hasn't had this experience. There's someone in their life that's very, very opinionated. And I remember when someone threw this up for me, and when you've got someone who's really forces their opinions on you, and and some people can be quite extreme, in their behaviour. The people threaten people about their opinions and things like that. I just remember thinking, I couldn't stand that. Like there was a huge impact of being that way. I did not want to be that way. But just as importantly, if I'm curious about why they're so strong in their opinion, and I get curious with that, they might actually start to soften up a little bit. They might discover that some of their stuff, I'm not going to tell them, but some of their stuff isn't, they don't need to be so forceful with their opinions. And they might actually get something for themselves. And why they are the way they are. Why do they need to be so forceful with their opinions?
Gotcha.
That's what was there for me. That empowering, making a difference, getting results in my life, like fact results.
So what you're saying is you, at some point, got really connected to the impact of needing to voice your opinion over listening.
Oh, 100%.
And you saw the huge impact, not positive, like negative.
Oh, yeah.
People not being listened to, not being heard, not being seen. And so at some point you just stopped doing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
confronting.
well, not all the time.
No. I'm still practicing.
You
I'll
are.
be practicing for the rest of my life. Because we, like you said, we are a machine. We just literally make this stuff up. It's almost like we can't help ourselves.
It's funny, if you had seen some of the conversations that Nathan and I have had recently, you would be like, do you guys need to watch this podcast? But I get what you're saying. I totally get it. And I think the beauty of our relationship though, Nathan, is that both of us go away and go, okay, all right, we blow the whistle, take 5, we need to go look at something here. We don't keep trying to be right. And our intention is that both of us are, very passionately committed to what we're doing, and we have different views.
Yeah.
And that ultimately the only thing that matters is we resolve it with each other.
Well, what was interesting is the last one we had was quite heated, and then when we actually got together and got it sorted, we were arguing about the same damn thing.
Yep.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Like it was so silly that
I was telling you that, you weren't listening.
It was like it was just. And how many times does that often happen, that you're talking with someone coming from 2 different perspectives, but the outcome you both wants exactly the same. You're just coming from 2 different perspectives. Yeah, that's it.
And it takes someone to be the person that doesn't need to be heard. It just takes that.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how much I have tried it to be any other way, and how much I try and get my point across in different ways and in more articulate and profound words. Actually, the thing that matters is listening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the key to...
I think that's the greatest thing of the whole piece, though. That was my biggest takeaway, was that 24 hours, when you're in a team of people that are willing to look at themselves, 24 hours is a long time between drinks, Like what you guys were able to create within 24 hours of coming back the next day.
Yeah.
It was like...
It's like it didn't happen.
I remember preparing for Saturday, going like, here we go. And then you both turned up, and it was just amazing.
Yeah.
It's like, they've been to the chapel, we got married, and we're good.
We do love each other.
Yeah. And we're parent again. But that's what happens.
Yeah. Yeah. What do we want to say? Because we've got like 3 minutes. We're going to actually attempt to get this done in 45 minutes now.
I think you were just asking around what this is like. Nathan's done a lot of work around this, so I completely get it. But I think the 2 pieces that I can give on this is through someone that is practicing it. Is it takes courage. It takes a lot of courage, because it is quite confronting, and to really open yourself up. We read these things all over the internet about being open-minded and all this, and we probably all post it on there, but are we actually open-minded? So, open-minded to me is actually being open to having your facts or beliefs that are so deep-seated within you be tested and tried, and actually have the ability to open yourself to them. Doesn't mean you have to buy into them, but open yourself to them and actually take you to a place of self-reflection to actually discover what you want to take on and what you want to leave behind. And that does take a lot of courage, and it is quite confronting.
Absolutely.
Because these things that you've held on to that actually exist in your life are being tested, especially in cultural ones as well, like cultural differences and all that. Like, it's huge. Like, anyone that moves country or anything like that, I think it's amazing what those humans do.
And I will add that for me, it's if you can become someone and train yourself to be someone that looks at your own views and looks at your own facts that you call facts, because we pretty much distinguished tonight that facts and opinions are kind of all rolled into one and none of them are real. But if you can at least be courageous enough to look at what you are thinking is a fact, you are thinking is the opinion that is right, and share it as one possible view.
Yep.
As opposed to the truth. So, this is the truth, this is the truth, this is right. Take that away and actually be like, no, this is what I think is the truth. This is one possible view of the world. This is my opinion. I think that is a very freeing way to be. And you'll get power from it, and it will kind of, I think, so will others.
Oh, they do. I think that's... Sorry. that is one of the main reasons that I do it. I love being able to qualify that it's my opinion. Like, you know how I said before, I am mindful of what you talked about. What did you call it? Auto-suggestion or something like that?
Auto-suggestion, yeah.
I think that's super powerful. That's my opinion. There's so much power in a conversation that way.
Yeah, it's mine and Napoleon Hill's. It's not just mine. But... and I think it's scientists as well.
No, I mean, like, my opinion, when I say something, it's mine. It's no one else's.
Yeah.
It's just my thing.
Yeah, and I think also, just to be clear, that you repeat something enough to someone over and over and over and over and over, particularly your kids or even friends, people are going to start believing it.
Oh, yeah.
Mate, Tony Robbins started out selling cassette tapes that you used to listen to with the headphones on at night. Like,
Yeah.
come on.
Yeah. That is... Like, you say it over enough to a kid, and they just take... I mean, like I said, someone says something mean to you in the playground, all of a sudden it's like it's real.
Mm.
And it's hugely impactful. And that's just a kid in the playground. That's not the parents.
But we do it too. Like, adults do it as well. I mean, that's why we talk about why it matters so much about your friend circle. Because the conversations that you're around all the time that keep repeating, you sort of become them. Like, they become you as well.
Yeah.
So these facts and opinions, they're almost like, they're your reality.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They're the meaning of life. The meaning of life is the meaning you give it.
Yeah, wow. We are so deep.
There's so much magic in being able to provide your opinion without putting it on someone.
I think so, yeah. Absolutely.
Like that's really where the power is. Like, don't necessarily keep it to yourself, but the skill is in actually being able to create awareness for other people, but allowing them to choose what they take on. I think. Like Jeff, in the last Authentic Professionals, we've mentioned this a couple of times, Jeffrey Slater, like that man, like you sit with him and it's just completely like, it's like complete silence, there's nothing there. And then I find it really confronting and uncomfortable because it's like, there's just this big space because he doesn't really have any opinion or belief that he puts on you. Do you know what I mean? Like, even just with his way of being. And I find it really confronting because it's like, he just says, hello, and you're like, hey. like honestly, I've experienced it a few times now and I'm just like, man, it's like he's just so vacant,
But it's like it's not vacant per se. It's like you said. He creates it. He provides the space for you to be however you want.
It's
to
quite
be.
phenomenal, really.
Yeah.
We've sort of spoken about it a couple of times through the week, but yeah.
He's a phenomenal human being.
Yeah.
Well, I know that I know that experience. I remember sitting with I did a course and there was a guy they call a forum leader, and he was like, he just didn't speak. It was the same thing, and I drove him home, and I was like, it's so hard being next to someone that doesn't speak, but he was so comfortable with it.
Yep.
And but I just remember that experience and needing to fill the space and not knowing what to say, and the whole time I was in my head going, oh my God, he's not speaking. It was super confronting.
Cody McCall's like that as well, for anyone that knows Cody McCall. Oh, had some uncomfortable drives home with that bloke. But he's cool with it.
Yeah.
Talking about phenomenal human beings, we've got a pretty phenomenal human being tomorrow night. Coming on as a speaker to Authentic Professionals 4.0, the live event.
Yes.
We've got Krista Tia. Krista Tia is a phenomenal human being. We're really excited to have her. Specialises in high performance scaling businesses online, and she's epic.
Yes,
for me, she's the embodied version of what it looks and what it takes to be whatever it looks to be authentic, I suppose. Authenticity.
Yeah. And yeah, so she's going to be at Authentic Professionals at Queensland Theatre tomorrow night, 6:15. We will put a link in here as well so that you can access that. Please grab your tickets. And we're going to push this podcast out so
We've
people
got
can
some
access that
huge
too.
news tomorrow night to drop too. We've got some huge news. So
Boom!
make sure you get to the live event because it's going to be massive.
It is. It
And
is.
would love you to be there in person so we can drop it with you, so you get to experience what it looks like in real life and what it really takes to create what we're creating with Authentic Professionals.
Human connection.
Not just as the four of us, but as a community.
Like where you can have discussions, not arguments. Where you can get curious and not have to be right. Where you can be your complete self.
Bring your inquisitive
That
mind.
sounds fun. Can I get a ticket to that?
You sure can.
Thanks.
Boom. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay,
Thank
now we
you
can
very
talk
much
to
for
these
being
guys.
inside.
You!
Who have we got here? Thank you guys for tuning in. I'm just going to see if there's any more questions. If you guys have any more questions or...
There was one, you just missed it.
Did I? I want to be
I want
there.
to be there.
Come down. Come for a drive, Courtney.
Where does she live?
Mackay.
Gee,
Or outside
you
Mackay.
have to start driving now.
Yeah, it's going to be super fun. What else do we have here? 100%. There was a forceful person once. The other person was a small aspect. I backed off and realised I was being a dick. Go you, Lorna.
Yep, we've all been there.
We've
Oh,
all
yeah.
been there. I mean, Nathan has been there. I haven't.
You're definitely going to get... It's interesting thing about it is you don't get to talk about this subject if you haven't already been it and seen both sides.
That's it. Yeah, you can't. I couldn't be like this with Nathan if I wasn't owning my own stuff around it.
No.
I couldn't call anyone on it either.
No.
Yeah, absolutely. So do the work.
You.
Have
No
fun
worries.
with the
If you choose
game.
to.
Yeah,
If you
you
choose
go
to.
for it. Be courageous
Yes,
like a tiger.
like a tiger. Anyone, we will drop the link in. Hashtag AuthPro, hashtag Authentic Professionals and replay. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you guys either tomorrow or online again some other time.
Beautiful.
See ya.
You're all epic. Thank you.